PSA, support your local taco trucks. I don't get why people think Taco Bell's so good. Like, for real. There's probably a fire taco truck nearby and you just haven't even tried it. I don't get why people like Taco Bell. Like, oh, Taco Bell's the best. Oh, quesarito. Oh, it's gross. Anywho, rant aside, today I'm going to be covering J. Cole's new album, KOD, released on 4/20. So J. Cole, rapper, Jermaine Lamar Cole. He was born in North Carolina. See, the thing is, a lot of people know him as the guy who did the Workout Me song, / the double platinum with no features, or triple platinum now, or something like that. One notable thing about J. Cole is the way he was signed on. So, you know, a lot of fans know this, but he traveled to go see Jay-Z, like, play his CD for him, and then Jay-Z ended up dismissing him completely. Then a year later, ended up signing the same guy he didn't dismiss like a year earlier. So that's like a crazy story. Super inspiring. That means persistence. Like, he didn't let even his hero, like, knocking him down, stop him from further pursuing music. But anywho, let's just get right into it. The last album he came out with, For Your Eyes Only, it was okay in my opinion. You know, I think the neighbors think I'm selling dope. That was probably one of the only few songs I liked, only few songs I remembered. I don't think he was trying to live up to the hype Forest Hills Drive had, but it'd been so long since his last album. I think he felt the need to come out with something, you know? And then there's a whole like Kendrick and J. Cole CD that has high expectations to live up to. KOD is the follow-up for Your Eyes Only, so let's check it out. Let's see what it sounds like. First track, intro.
He has two primary modes of communication. Laughter, which says,
so that was the intro to KOD. I'm looking at the lyrics here. Newborn baby has two primary modes of communication. Laughter, which says, I love this, or crying, which says, this frightens me, I'm in pain. So I know J. Cole recently had a baby. He's talked, life can bring much pain. There are many ways to deal with this pain. Choose wisely. I'm not sure what he's going with this on this intro. Maybe he's just talking about the stress of his career, the stress of his child. He's dealing with depression maybe, and so he's smoking or trying to find coping mechanisms of dealing with this pain, because at the end it says choose wisely, choose wisely. So, you know, maybe J. Cole's smoking or a lot of weed, especially since it came out on 4/20. There's a tweet right here where J. Cole says KOD has 3 meanings: kids on drugs, king overdosed, kill our demons. The rest of the album I leave to your interpretation. I'm not sure so far how that's going to relate, but we'll keep that in mind. King overdosed. Maybe he's talking about himself based on the album cover. You know, he's wearing that crown. Kill our demons. What demons does J. Cole have? I'm not sure. Maybe he'll tell us in this album. So let's move on to the next song. Next song is KOD.
This is what you call a flip. 10 keys from a car to brick. Bentley from his mama whip. KOD, he hard as shit. Get a few features, I think you should. How about I don't? How about you just get the fuck on my dick? How about you listen and never forget all the shit? This is what
I got a little bit of goosebumps, especially from that whole like, why don't I have any features on the album? So
this is what you call a flip. 10 keys from a car to brick. Bentley from his mama whip. KOD, he hard as shit. This is what you call a flip. 10 keys from a car to brick.
Okay, so that was KOD. That was a surprisingly good upbeat song, especially considering Your Eyes Only was so slow, almost like lackadaisical a little bit. It just left a little being desired. It was too slow. But enough about For Your Eyes Only. KOD, that was a strong start, I think. The chorus was really catchy. The production was like booming. It was like I really like J. Cole's flow. So it seems like what he's talking about is sounds in verse 1, it sounds like he's basically calling out mumble rappers, calling out you know, the newer rappers, mumble rappers that are just very braggadocious, very show off. But here J. Cole is kind of addressing that their wealth is very braggadocious. In contrast, J. Cole actually invests his money, or at least gives it away. You know, he's done a lot of charitable deeds, tried to give it back to the community. He's trying to be smart with his money, not braggadocious. Another really cool part that I enjoyed off of the song was basically where he talks about how he doesn't have any features in his albums. It's been a theme consistent with like Forest Hills Drive, how he's like double platinum with no features, and that was like a meme. And it got a little like annoying, but still it's a pretty big deal, especially considering the fact the music landscape nowadays, it seems like there's a feature everywhere. Like sometimes artists can't carry an album alone. Talking about collaborations, I feel like that's a different topic entirely. I feel just because you're able to do something alone, yeah, maybe you can do it great, but a lot of minds are better than one. Collaboration, you can always make better music that way. So I think this is just kind of J. Cole trying to stick true to his guns with no features, which if he wants to do that, great. This sounded great. I like it so far, but a feature or two wouldn't hurt. Collaborating makes a greater product, I think, and I think that's the consensus. But that's just addressing his verse just now. KOD, good song, legit. I'm probably gonna play this in my car from now on. I liked it a lot. A surprising amount. Like, it's kind of spooky, so I'm excited to hear the rest. Let's move on to the next song. Next song is Photograph.
I know your name. Wonder if you follow back. I ain't heard from you in like 2 months. All of a sudden you pop on my line. You can make time stop on a dime. I think you mastered the art of sublime. Your type is harder to find. Yeah, putting my heart in the click. Yeah, can't see my heart, it don't fit. Yeah, don't think I'm done for this shit. Yeah, too busy thinking what if. Yeah, I shoot my shot in the brick. Wonder if you follow back. I hope to see you one day.
Pretty much he's talking about in the chorus how love today's gone digital, basically, you know, Instagram, Facebook, Tinder, etc. And a lot of people tend to find relationships online rather than real life. At least that's what he's going for thematically in the chorus. But then if you look at verse 1, he's talking about his wife. So I'm not sure if he's being consistent in his theme here. It's kind of like, hey, social media, love on social media is kind of messed up. Let me talk about how much I love my wife. And then he goes into a refrain that's really catchy, but doesn't really fit into the theme of the song. It just sounds good, you know? So thematically, this song feels like it's all over the place. And I really don't like the chorus. It's kind of corny. And it just sounds boring. Other than that, the refrain is probably the best part of this song, but it's an okay song. It feels like another run-of-the-mill J. Cole song where he's like, I love my wife so much, we've been together for so long. And it's great and all, but I think if he stuck to the theme of love on social media, this would have been maybe a better song or a different type of song, maybe the vibe he was going for, because this song feels a little jumbled thematically. So let's move on to the next song. Next song is The Cutoff featuring Kill Edward.
I can't go if I die. I don't know. Give me drink, give me smoke.
My heart is big, I wanna give too much, and usually I send the bread and don't hit back for like 2 months now. You hit my
Give me slow, I'm a clown, coming down, put me down, chillin' out. Give me drink, give me dope. Bottom line, I can't go if I die. I don't know. Who is on my side? Time will tell just who is on my side.
So I've seen online that Kill Edward is like J. Cole's new alternate persona. I'm not sure why Kill Edward. Maybe it's a biblical reference, maybe it's something else. I'll have to look it up, but The Cutoff obviously reminds me of Kanye West's song Real Friends. Basically how with fame, J. Cole has all these people coming up to him and just asking for favors, asking for money, basically taking the plate to go. That was a line in the first verse, I think. Okay, you hit my phone, you need a loan, oh, I'm a crutch now. So that's just adding on to the theme of everyone's taking advantage of J. Cole. Everyone, because he's famous, he has all this money, everyone thinks he is a crutch financially. And for that reason, J. Cole has found himself cutting off a lot of personal relationships, personal ties. I know Kanye tweeted earlier this week about watch how people treat you if you have nothing to offer them. And it's really true. So The Cutoff, I didn't like it too much. It was okay. The intro and the pre-chorus is basically J. Cole trying to sing behind pitched down vocals, and it just doesn't work. You know he can't sing. You can hear it right away. Definitely can't sing at all. It sounds just very gross, very choppy. Except the chorus. The chorus is really good. I really like the give me drink, give me smoke. Really catchy, a nice cadence to it. But otherwise, this song is okay. So far the last 2 songs have been, there's one good part and there's one really bad part. It's a little disappointing, but let's move on to the next song, ATM by J. Cole.
Heart on the visible, my money you give me a heart on the typical. I wanted it physical, $1 million I count up in intervals. When they got my couldn't afford the abortion. The loneliest orphan. I flip my misfortune and grow me a fortune. My rollie is scorching. Count it up, count it up, count it, count it up, count it up, count it up, count it, count it up.
So that was ATM, where Cole pretty much talks about how he's making all this money. Count it up, count it up, count it up. It's an alright song. I don't think it's that memorable. I don't think it's very good or anything. It's almost ironic because he's making fun of the mumble rappers earlier, and then his chorus pretty much is similar to like a Lil Pump chorus, like Scatted or Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, but he's saying count it up, count it up. I'm sure, you know, he's putting a spin on it, saying how can't take it when you die, but you can't live without it. He's trying to say money is just a materialistic object. And it's kind of like, we get it, J. Cole, it's cliche. You telling us it doesn't seem like he has anything new to offer or a different take on this cliche. And the song itself, lyrically, production-wise, is a little disappointing. The only thing I thought was eye-opening or a little different was how he thought, thank God mama couldn't afford the abortion, the loneliest orphan. I'm not familiar if J. Cole is an only child, but maybe he's referring to his life, how the reason he was born is because his mother couldn't afford an abortion. So that's kind of like a dark truth that he unveiled to fans or anyone that's listening. He talks about, I flip my misfortune and grow me a fortune. So that's cool. Again, I'm kind of back to where there's one part of the song that's like it's a highlight, but the rest of it's just kind of rocky road for me. Another song where I'm just like, So let's move on to the next song, Motivate by J. Cole. So here we go.
Please don't hit my phone if it ain't about no commas. Keep the peace like Dalai Lama, big body hummers. Back up, get money. Motivate, 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 motivate.
Okay, so that was Motivate by J. Cole. I didn't really like this song, honestly. It wasn't very memorable. He does that chorus where ironically makes fun of mumble rappers who have a one-word chorus. It says motivate, motivate, motivate. And it's not even catchy. Like, dude, honestly, Lil Pump does a catchier chorus than you, or I know several other artists who do chorus a little bit better than J. Cole. It's funny because he talks about how, he doesn't talk about how selfless he is, but he criticizes others for the way they spend their money. But here he's, being a little braggadocious, talking about how, he's got all these nice cars, big body Hummers, flies to DR on a weekday in ceviche with $500,000 inside of my briefcase. You could say, oh, he's just talking about a character, but it sounds like he's talking about his life. He's being a little braggadocious about the way he is with his money, so that's just a little inconsistent with the songs earlier. I'm kind of having an issue because, like you say, spending money being braggadocious is bad, but then here you are in Motivate talking about how you spend your money on a weekday with $500,000 in your briefcase. So not a good song. Next song, Kevin's Heart by J. Cole.
Slip me a Sandy at once. I got the earth in the blunt. I get the skirt when I want. I get the skirt when I want. And only have eyes for you. Slip me a Sandy at once. I got the earth in the blunt. I get the skirt when I want. What's done in the dark will always find a way to shine. I done did so much that when you see you might go blind.
So that was Kevin Hart. Basically, it's a reference to the actor and comedian Kevin Hart, who was known to have cheated on his wife, and they have like 2 kids together. I thought that was clever, but the song itself is very slow, very melancholy. If you're going to be talking about the subject of cheating, of course the song's gonna be like slow, sad. It's not gonna be a happy song. But it was just very slow, boring, nothing memorable. The beat itself sounded like it was sampled from a Super Nintendo game or something, but not like in a good way. Not very memorable song, other than the fact that Kevin's Heart is a play on Kevin Hart. And another maybe memorable part from the song is, I'm a fake N-word and it's never been clear. Can't see myself when I look in the mirror. That's a little funny because Kevin Hart's so short, he can't like see the mirror, so he can't see himself in the mirror because he has to jump. So it's almost like a diss at Kevin Hart. So let's move on to the next song, Brackets by J. Cole.
If my father was alive today, I would go home and say, Dad, I'm gonna tell you how much money I make. You know what he said?
This boy.
Hell yeah, bro, I'm a goddamn millionaire now. Hell yeah, nigga.
Keep the white out they sins. Maybe we'll never see a black man in the White House again. I write a check to the IRS, my pockets get slim. Damn, do I even have a say about where it's going? Some older.
Okay, so that was Brackets by J. Cole. That was an okay song. almost made me pick me up from that like slump from the last couple of songs. I think the best part was definitely the second verse. In his interlude too, he talks about how he's making so much money, but now because he's not in this new tax bracket, more than half of his money's being taken away. And so he's kind of criticizing the government like, hey, why is half of my money being taken away? But none of my money is going to like build roads, build schools, and like, you know, he knows people from his community that aren't graduating because they don't have the tools necessary to graduate. So again, he's criticizing the government. He also talks about how God is learning about the heroes with the whitest of skin. He's talking about racism in general, especially in schools, that they write history, they always seem to white out the sin. Yeah, so slavery, for example, a lot of people brush off slavery or like, oh, that happened so long ago, but reality is it happened, 200 years ago, and that's not that long ago. And then segregation didn't end until 20, 30, like 50 years ago, and that's just, there's still people alive today that can probably remember when America used to be segregated. So I think good on J. Cole for having that big chunk of verse like criticizing the government in America today. So that was definitely something that was cool. And then I like how he has this story about this one individual in particular who didn't do good in the white schools, got lost in the streets, ended up having 2 kids, and then because of the environment he was surrounded in, ended up dying. And after his mom had to bury him at the funeral and everything, she had to file her taxes, which has to do with brackets, why it's called brackets. Okay song, definitely better than the last 2, but KOD is definitely my favorite song at the moment. So let's move on to the next song, Once an Addict interlude.
Pleases him.
Lost in a cloud of marijuana, young Carolina nigga, fish out of water. Stepdaddy just had a daughter with another woman. Stay out later on purpose. Subconsciously I was nervous that if I came home early, then what was surface was her inner demons, and then I'd have.
So that was Once an Addict by J. Cole. Sounds like he's venting his past frustrations. He had an alcoholic mom who was always intoxicated, and he says in the song how he'd try to avoid her, like stay out a little later than usual in order to avoid her when she was intoxicated. He had all this stress having to deal with his mom who wasn't in the right mindset, clearly who was an alcoholic and was depressed, and she was trying to escape her own depression through alcohol. But as a result, J. Cole was in an unhealthy environment, and he talks about how pretty much what's really sad is sounds like his father left them both, his mother and J. Cole, at a young age, and he had another daughter with another woman, and his mom was still depressed about it, became an alcoholic. And one line in particular, she saw, I guess J. Cole finds her like in the living room or something, says, I tell her, Mama, go to sleep. She told me, boy, hush, you better pray to God, you never get your heart crushed. So she's clearly still dealing with that heartbreak and turns to alcohol as an escape. And you can really hear the hurt in J. Cole's voice, like reminiscing about it. This isn't something he's over, like he's still probably hurt about it. The pain just sounds tangible in his flow. It's really sad. It's sad. It's eye-opening. I didn't know this about J. Cole. I don't know. I think for me it hits me almost like a piece of slam poetry. So it's an okay song. It's not a bad song. The subject matter definitely has you like tuned in. If you're gonna listen to it, I'd keep in mind it's a depressing song, and it's not really one you could play in the car. It's more like you're at home, maybe you have your own thing going on, or maybe if you have a mother like this, I apologize, but maybe you can relate to this song in some way and vent your frustrations with J. Cole. But let's move on to the next song, Friends by J. Cole.
Rest my soul when I blow, am I wrong? Let me know.
Smoking medical grade, but I ain't got prescription. All the way in Cali where they ain't got. This message is not the coolest to say, but if you down to try it, I know of a better way. Meditate.
Let me know. Feels so right to let things go.
So that was Friends featuring Kill Edward. This is probably the first song in the album where he talks about how if you have some sort of drug addiction, don't pursue it, stop it. He offers an alternate solution, meditate. I know in the For Your Eyes Only documentary, he was talking about how he meditates now and how his life's a little bit better that way. It's helped him. Something I appreciate is the line, I understand this message is not the coolest to say, but if you're down to try it, I know of a better way, meditate. He's advocating that everyone doesn't look for an escape of depression through pills, through alcohol, through weed, through cocaine, and he acknowledges that this PSA of not doing drugs isn't cool, but he feels it's necessary. I think production-wise, it was alright. If anything, the song is memorable because of its theme and because of the subject matter at hand. I think it's a good song. I hope people listening to this wake up, or if anybody with an addiction, it helps them move forward and seek the help that they need, or makes them realize that their addiction can become a problem and that there are healthier ways of coping with it. Maybe this song could be the first step for many addicts to seek that help that they need. Another highlight besides KOD. So let's move on. Next song, Window Pane Outro.
See my granny on the other side. All I wanna do is kill the man and make my mama cry. All I wanna do is touch a platinum plaque and celebrate. They caught the muzzle up a pistol shot by brothers standing point blank range. Niggas bang in the field, I always thought that shit was strange. It's racing and it don't mean that you're ready to let go of your childish ways. The results are deadly because that child will suffer, and that's what can most affect me.
So that was Window Pane by J. Cole. Pretty much it's one of those songs where it's like a narrative song that has a theme at the end. He sounds angry. He's talking about how he wants to kill the man that made his mama cry, how, you know, he wants to win, how he wants to like save everybody. That's pretty much what he's saying. And I think when he says window pane, is kind of like he's looking from his situation and how grateful he is for it being in such a good situation, but then seeing all these bad situations. Like he talks about how there's people having unprotected sex when they aren't really ready to take care of a child yet, and as a result there's these children who come into the world without parental figures that are mature enough to take care of them because of their irresponsibility. It's a slow song. I think it's an okay song, not that memorable. I think it might just be because myself, I've never had to deal with these bad situations, and although I can sympathize with them, they don't impact me as heavily maybe as someone who has been in these situations or who is surrounded in a community where these are their realities. I'm living through these realities vicariously through this song, but they're not as impactful if you actually are in these situations. So for me it's okay, but I can see how someone else would be deeply impacted, find this song maybe profound. So let's move on to 1985 by J. Cole.
I heard one of them diss me, I'm surprised. I ain't tripping, listen good to my reply. Come here, little man, let me talk with you. Icy in your whip form. I got some good advice, never quit torn. Cause that's the way we eat here in this rap game. And get too old for that shit that made you blow up. Now your shows looking like cause they don't show up. Which unfortunately means the money slow up. Now you scrambling and hoping to...
Alright, so that was 1985. Long story short, he is dissing the new wave of mumble rappers, talking about how they're riding these trends, how their fame is going to be short-lived because they aren't really talented. They're riding trends. There's the trap drums that are really popular lately, and that's like, it's true. There definitely are a wave of SoundCloud rappers or Lil whatevers whose music sounds a little bit run-of-the-mill, almost just there's like a formula and people are exploiting it and they aren't really that talented. And J. Cole's talking about how these white kids don't really care about them. They just want to see them act a certain way because that's what they expect. He also talks about how in the future, once their trend like dies down, reality is their fame is short-lived. They aren't going to have longevity of a career, and once that happens, all their friends are going to disappear, their fans are going to disappear, and their shows are going to look abysmal. And I think this is true to an extent, depending on certain rappers. I know the rapper in particular he's pointing out here is Lil Pump. He's a 16-17-year-old rapper who had that Gucci Gang hit, Es Get It, that guy, Es Get It. But, so it's just him throwing all this shade at him and everything, or at least offering him some wisdom. Don't think of it as a diss. I think he's trying to offer wisdom to these rappers to maybe like double think the way they present themselves to their audience, that the way they do, it's impactful, and sometimes they're just playing into what their fans expect of them. I think it's a good message. I think it has to be said, but I don't think it's applicable to all rappers, if that makes sense. It was a good song. I think for a diss song or whatever you want to call it, it was a good song. But now that we finished J. Cole's KOD, what do I think? It was a little under okay. If I had to give it a rating, it'd probably be a 4 out of 10. Reason being is because J. Cole's just so attached to being the only feature on his albums, the only guy on his albums, the sounds get a little redundant, the subject matter gets a little redundant. There's the ones like, hey, I love my wife. Hey, here's me preaching about something, or hey, I'm so good with my money, you know? And I'm not gonna lie, but J. Cole did not have anything that memorable. His choruses were really weak. And then this whole alternate Kill Edward persona, like, kill Edward because Kill Edward sucks. It doesn't sound good. This alternate persona, I don't know what he's trying to do. You know, it's like, oh wow, he got a feature and it's only him. Whoa, his fans are probably gonna be like, whoa, that's so cool. But reality is, Kill Edward is just to pitch down J. Cole trying to sing poorly. It doesn't work. It doesn't sound good. None of the Kill Edward choruses or features were like, whoa, it sounded so good. It was very gross. All the Kill Edward songs were gross. The only good songs, reality, are maybe KOD, Brackets, because of the second verse, Once an Addict, just because of the story, and you could say Friends in 1985, but again, they were just so preachy and so slow that I feel this album, it landing its release date on 4/20, I'm sure there's gonna be an audience of high people right now listening to KOD, hearing J. Cole spit some truth, spit some like cliches, and be like, whoa, that's so deep. But reality is, most of these aren't that deep. The only ones that I think are worth mentioning or actually kind of good are the PSAs where he recommends you don't do drugs. Like, that's cool. I think it needed to be said because he also is self-aware that maybe it's not the coolest thing to say, but he's in a position where he could have a positive impact on the people who listen to his music. Other than that, most of these songs are forgettable. The beats, and I think that, again, that's just due to, oh, hey, it's me, J. Cole. It's just me. And if you look at the production credits, most of it is just produced by J. Cole. And you can hear it. The production is lackluster. The production is the same. It's very slow. It's very boring. And in him trying to make a hit sometimes, like maybe ATM, it doesn't even sound that good. 2014 Forest Hills is a good album, but otherwise I feel like J. Cole will not be able to live up to the double platinum with no features thing again. If he does live up to it with this album, maybe that's a good thing because of his PSA about not doing drugs, so it'd be a little bit more widespread and it could start a conversation. But sonically or lyrically, I don't think he offers anything astounding or anything like, whoa. 4 out of 10. Did not like this album too much, but just tell me, you guys, what you think. Tell me in the comments below if you think I'm crazy, what songs I should check out again, or you could just, you know, roast me like, oh, you don't get it, you go for it. But I didn't like this album. If I see anybody give it more than like a 5 out of 10, I'm gonna be like, come on now, come on, really. But it's not that good. Even the album cover just looks a little cheesy. But yeah, that was J. Cole, KOD. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Next video, I will be doing a Frank Ocean video, talking about Frank Ocean, or I don't know if you've been keeping up with music. There are a lot of exciting albums coming lately. 2, 3 in particular that I'm going to talk about is the Kanye West album, Kanye Kid Cudi, and Georgia Smith's debut album. So keep an eye out for those. But thanks for watching, guys. See you later.